In this video I'll show you a simple way how to make some grotesques for your homunculi coven. Hello, this is Craig from Bitzbox.co.uk. So in this video I'm going to be making up some grotesques for my Drukhari homunculi coven army. And this is a very sort of common way that I've seen people do grotesques, so I thought I'll show you how I do them, and maybe just add a little bit of a twist to them, or just show you how easy it works if you've seen pictures done this way and such. And also stay tuned at the end of the video. I'm going to show you something completely out of the box that you can also use as a grotesque, which I will be using also as a grotesque in my army, as I plan to use a lot of grotesques and racks and homunculi. So yeah, certainly a lot of interesting conversions to look forward to for this army and over the coming months, however long it takes me to do them. And before I begin, just if you're new to the channel, then please do feel free to subscribe to keep up to date with all our videos, and if you don't want to miss a thing, then please ring that bell. So the bell icon can be found down below, just in case you have no idea what I'm talking about. Let's get straight into it. Okay, so we're going to be making a couple of grotesques in this video, and what I have here are the torsos and legs from the Crypt Horrors set, from the Flesh Eater Courts. Now, the thing about grotesques is there's only one miniature available for grotesques, so if you don't have a lot of them in your army, then you're going to have a very, really annoying single-posed miniature throughout, and it's going to look a bit silly. Also, the miniature itself is £15.50 just on its own, whereas a box of these are £29, so effectively you're getting 3 miniatures for the price of 2, so already it's more cost effective. And yeah, of course, you will need to add some other bits on them to make them look more Dark Elder-like, but there's not really a great deal you can get away with, really. You can really... sorry, there's a lot you can get away with. There's not really a great deal that you need to do. You can just like change the head, add a couple of little bits. We're going to do a little bit more on that in this video, hopefully. But yeah, these are a great base for the miniature. You could also maybe use the Storm Fiends from Skaven, although they will need a little bit more work doing to them, but they are fantastic miniatures. Rat Ogres I've seen work quite well as well, but I think, personally, I think these are the best. Now, I must point out that I believe they now come on a 50mm base, which is one of these. I think it's just a little too large. There's no reason why you couldn't have your grotesques on a 50mm base, and the one I'm going to show you later on is actually on a 50mm base. But yeah, I've put these on 40, and 40mm bases is very easy to get hold of, and we sell them on our website. We have hundreds in stock all the time, basically. So yeah, they're quite cheap. You can easily pick them up if you haven't got loads spare already. So speaking of spare parts, if you collect a Drukhari army, especially a homunculus coven, then you'll probably have a Talos or Kronos or 2, and yeah, you'll have a lot of bits left over from that miniature which you can use on these, and I think I'm almost effectively just going to use the Crypt Horrors and the Talos stuff on these. So let's get straight into adding some bits on these miniatures. So I'm going to start by taking the bone racks off the Talos miniature. I've got a couple of them here, and we want this larger piece from them, so I'm going to snip that off on both of these, and I'm going to add one to each of the miniatures. Now the actual grotesque model has a couple of these on there, but I think we can get away with just having the one, and that means we can get them on both of the miniatures. Snip away just a little bit at the bottom there. Now this grotesque torso is really cool because it's got loads of these little holes on it, and we can easily just attach stuff onto these holes, so I think that's a good place to have this one. So we'll get our trusty poly cement. Try not to notice the camera too much. Pop a little dollop in there, and we'll stick that on like so. And that'll need a little while to dry. So we'll put that to one side. Might be a little trickier for this one, as he's got the sort of bones sticking out there. And I think that's really cool, like the spine sticking out like that with the skin coming off. It's really works so well for a grotesque miniature. So let's just try and find a space. I don't know, let's say there. And we can maybe try and pop our little bit in like so. I mean, you don't have to have this, you might choose not to. But these little things just make them look a little bit more Dark Eldar-ish, or Drukhari-ish, as I should say. I do quite like the name Drukhari. I think it's quite cool. So, yeah, we'll let that dry, and then we'll add some other pieces. Maybe we'll work on some arms for them. So, while we're waiting for these to dry, we can sort out which weaponry we're going to give to them. So, their default weaponry is a flesh gauntlet and a monstrous cleaver, so essentially a claw and a big sword. And obviously you can represent these with anything. You can also replace the cleaver with a liquefier gun, and you do get a twin link liquefier gun on the Talos set, so you can actually have a couple of these. So I'm just going to do one though. I'm going to take the small half of the liquefier gun, just this piece right here. Let's pop that over there in shot. Also, you get this really cool hand, like mechanical hand with the Talos, which would make a brilliant flesh gauntlet. Unfortunately, you just get the one, so for the other miniature, because they'll both have these gauntlets, maybe we'll just use like a claw or something. I mean, they got claws themselves, haven't they? So it'd be quite cool. Actually, forget that. We do have these really cool pieces here. So I think I'm going to use one of them because I think they're quite cool. That'll make sort of an interesting, different type of weapon. So that could represent our gauntlet on the other arm. Now we need something to represent a monstrous cleaver, and I think this big blade here on the Talos will work really well. I can work out how to implement that into the miniature, and we have this blade here. It's quite cool. So my thought process here is to have these sort of grafted onto their arms. So rather than holding these, they'll be just sort of grafted on. Think of like Barrett from Final Fantasy with his machine gun. We should be able to do that with the liquefier gun quite easily. Obviously this claw shouldn't be an issue. Neither should this thing. And yeah, I'm not 100% sure how we're going to do this one yet. Maybe that could just be attached to his arm rather than replacing his hand. We shall see. So, next up I'm just going to get their arms together, and then we'll work out what we can do from there. Okay, so here they are with their arms all laid out and with what I want to equip each arm with. So I'm just using the regular arms from the equipped horrors, not using any ones holding weapons. Now some of these arms are like 2 or 3 pieces, so I'm just waiting for them to dry, but I thought I'd quickly show you what we're using. So we've got the gauntlet, the cleaver there, and we've got a liquefier gun and a sort of tentacle thing to represent the flesh gauntlet for the other one. So yeah, we'll let these dry and then we're going to work out how we attach them to these arms. So let's start with the easiest one, just this flesh gauntlet. Literally it'll be just a case of replacing the hand, and as you can see they're almost identical in size as well. So we'll just chop off the hand. Always chop it just a little bit further ahead of where you want it, just because sometimes the clippers will squeeze the plastic and you might have to file it down a bit shorter. In this case it's not too bad. And yeah, that's going to very simply just go on there. Now be mindful on the other side, you've got like this little gap here, so maybe I'll just chop a little bit out, if I can, just on the top here. Very fiddly work, but the results will be worth it. So I'm going to get I'll get a little file on that bit and file it down, and then that hand will fit on there quite nicely. I apologise if the camera's not really focused too well on that. So, here's how that arm looks. And yeah, the hand looks a little bit too big, but we could add some little cables or something coming off that to make it look a bit less goofy. Now, when it comes to the monstrous cleaver, it's probably being a little bit dense, because I could just attach it the same way it attaches to a Talos, and that's using this piece, or these pieces here. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. And then it's just a case of chopping off some of the arm and having it come on there. So yeah, these two weapons will look quite monstrous in comparison to the rest of the miniature, but I think you can get away with it with a Grotesque. After all, they are sort of abominations. Bits of mixed and matched stuff on them. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and then I'm going to glue them to the miniature, and we'll see how he looks. And here's how he looks. I think the cleaver's quite cool. I'll try and get him in shot. Not the sort of position I would sort of choose to have it, but that's just how these arms go. It's just a little bit too long to have sort of on the bent arm, sort of facing downwards. But yeah, I quite like that. Now it does look quite menacing, and it is a big mighty cleaver. So the arms for the other guy, I've also done a similar thing. I've trimmed them down and added on the pieces we want, and I've also used the bits from the Talos' arms to attach the liquefier gun. So again, I'll get them attached to him, and then we'll move on to the heads, and then maybe any other little accessories and such that we want to add onto them. Okay, so here's how they are looking with the arms now attached. I've given them plenty of time to dry as well. I apologise, my chair's a bit squeaky. So I really like this one actually with the cleaver and the claw. I'll definitely add some pipes or something coming out of there, I think. This one not so much. I like this arm. You know, it's pretty cool. I think the gun arm may be a little bit too long, but I'll stick with it for now. Maybe we'll add some pipe into that as well. It won't look so bad. I've had to cut part of the liquefier gun off the bottom. You can see where it's meant to be a twin-linked one, so it's just offset to the side a little bit. So not perfect there, but it'll do for now. So I think the next thing to do is work on the heads. So I've got a little bit of an idea for these, so let's get straight into it. So the heads are actually really straightforward. We're going to take the Crypt Horror's head, and then we're going to take these masks from the Talos. Now you get quite a few of these in the Talos kit, so you'll definitely have some of these spare if you are a Drukhari player and you have some Taloses. And you'll notice as well that they just fit on the head like really well. So I'm not actually going to do anything here to attach it. You might want to maybe trim the front of the face down to have the mask on a bit more. Maybe I'll get it in shot and I can show you what I mean. So maybe you want to push further back up the head. So maybe we'll do that. I'll cut a little bit off the front of the face. I feel so bad chopping up these Crypt Horror heads because I do like them, but never mind. We can always save that face for something strange in the future. That hasn't really made a massive difference, but just enough, I think. So the mask is sort of pushed back to the ear now. I don't know if that's going to focus, but you can sort of see that. Okay, it doesn't want to focus, but there we go. That's a bit better, isn't it? So I'll get that glued up, and I'll do it on the other one, and then we'll be back just for some final touches. Okay, so they've got their heads on now, and you know, you could just leave them at that. They're pretty much done. I just want to add a couple more details. We're going to focus on this one. So you can see the hand here is pretty basic, attached onto there. So I'm going to just add a little bit of guitar wire to it, just to give it some like little pipes or something. You can make these out of green stuff if you so wish. But essentially what I've got here is a little bit of guitar string. Now, if you're going to use guitar string, I do recommend bending it into the shape you want before you cut it, because once you cut it to these little pieces, they're quite difficult to bend, especially without like using a little vice or pliers or something. So I've put them to the shape I want, and essentially I'm just going to sort of run them from the hand just to a random point on his arm, just sort of going back in his arm. Now to attach these, you will need to use super glue instead of plastic glue. And as you can see, it just adds a little bit of something to that arm. I'm quite happy with that. So, actually now I'm going to focus on the other guy. I just want to add a couple little bit more details to him. So we have like these little pieces here. I don't know if I can focus on them. I thought maybe we could add a couple of them to his back. He's got these little holes and such in his back. We could have one or two sticking out maybe. So I'll just grab the plastic glue. We'll go here on his shoulder. I've got one cut of a sprue. I just need to trim it down just a little bit. And we'll stick that on like so. So of course you don't have to do all these little bits. You could have little spikes or anything really. It really is sort of limitless with these. They are sort of mutations after all. Experiments by the homunculi. So you could really have anything poking out of them. Little spikes and mutations and stuff, even tentacles. Could be quite fun. Speaking of that, you could even use the Kaos spawn as a base for these. Which would be very cool. But yeah, that is just two. Well, they are two very simple grotesque conversions, and I'm quite happy with them. A little bit concerned about how long this arm is. Maybe I'll try something different in the future. I don't know. Any suggestions? Do leave them in the comments. I'd love to hear them. It's weird because like this arm is done the same way, but I don't feel like that's too long. So I don't know. Maybe it's for gun. Maybe it's for gun on the end. Or maybe I just hadn't trimmed down the shoulder too much. But either way, I'm sure you guys get the gist of the conversion. And as I always say on these videos, these are just a guide to give you guys ideas. They are not step-by-step tutorials or anything like that for you guys to follow. I mean, you could if you wish, but they're just mainly to give you ideas and show you how I build them myself. So I did promise at the beginning of the video I'll show you something completely different that you could use for a grotesque. You guys might love this or hate this. It was never intended to be used as a grotesque, it's just something I came up with a little while back after seeing a bizarre piece of artwork, and that is this guy here. So he's made out of 3 plague bearers, some rack arms, and just a head from a Kaos spawn. There's a little bit from the Admech Electro Priests as well. He's not finished, as you can tell. I've literally just dry brushed Rackar flesh over black. But I mean, I'm thinking of making some more weird experiment type creatures like this to run as grotesques. It's sort of like they've been sort of merged into one sort of larger creature. I think I used some green stuff in the middle. You can see him from behind there. Sort of the arms are coming out of his backside almost. So it's something interesting, something different. I'm going to use it as a grotesque. I think it'll work quite cool. This is actually on a 50mm base, just because of how wide it is with the plague bearer's legs. But if you if you're on a budget, you could just pick up some plague bearers, use some spare rack parts, and make a few of these, and you'll be away. So just a little idea there, and I am going to make this army full of weird and wonderful experiments, and I'm looking forward to showing off more of it with you guys. So stay tuned for that. You can also check out our Instagram page. We now have a Snapchat as well, which is just Bitzbox, and I do share a lot of miniature photos and stuff on the Instagram and the Snapchat. We also have Facebook. Everything's just Bitzbox, so look for us on those if you want to see more photos of miniatures and other stuff, and I'll see you all again very soon. If you enjoyed this video, then please feel free to subscribe to our channel if you haven't done so already. You can also click that bell icon to be notified when a new video has gone live on this channel. On the screen now are 2 more videos that you may wish to check out, and a link to our Patreon page also. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you again soon.